Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you've been well. Today we're talking about this baby right here. This is a 2011 Toyota Sequoia. It's Ashley's new vehicle, actually. Well, you know, mine kind of. I like driving it too. But as the family grows, so must the family vehicle. So these last couple weeks of my life have been kind of crazy. We had our baby daughter. She was born healthy, mom's healthy, everything's great. Had a recent wildfire, actually a couple wildfires right near us, so we're like right on the edge of evacuation zone. Packed up a bunch of stuff to maybe have to evacuate, and anyway, it's been kind of a tumultuous last couple of weeks, but everything is good. But new vehicle because the bigger family. So Ashley had a RAV4. This is her 2019 RAV4 XLE, all-wheel drive, a couple little modifications done on it. Little KC light bar up front, ditch lights, new wheels, tires, roof rack. This thing has served her great for the last 5 years that we've owned it. It has 66,000 miles on it, not a single issue. She loves this car, but now we are a family of 5 plus 2 dogs. So she decided now's the time. Now it is time for this baby. So like a lot of moms, she really didn't want a minivan. I kind of tried to convince her to get a minivan, and she just doesn't want to be that minivan mom, but she wanted a big old SUV. So I said, well, if we're going to get a big old SUV, at least let's get a big old SUV that can do big old SUV stuff. Maybe we'll get a trailer that we need to tow. Maybe we go off-roading, like light off-roading. This isn't really the off-roading vehicle, though. We live in Colorado, so we do hit forest roads quite a bit, and just something we can all load into. For anyone that's new here, my channel is very personal. I feel like I need to preface this because my YouTube channel is different than a lot of others. I'm not like an automotive journalist where I'm just getting straight to the nitty-gritty, personalize it a bit. But for those that don't care, I do always put chapters, little timestamps down here below so you can skip ahead to whatever you care about, and doesn't hurt my feelings if you skip right into it. But this is what we landed on. And in this video, I'm obviously going to talk mostly about this, why I decided on this, some of the things that I like about it, a few of the modifications that I've done to it, go on the inside, and then I'm going to do actually a separate video where we're going to get into like how I'm kitting my wife's car out. It's not fully there yet, so I'm going to do a separate video on that you can be on the lookout for soon. But man, like I said, life has been crazy, but there has been one constant in my life, and that is today's video sponsor. So thank you to AG1 for sponsoring this video. If you're not familiar with AG1, they are a foundational nutritional drink, just a little scoop of green powder that you pour into some water, drink it down, just effortless daily habit, just kind of starts you down the right path and helps with, sorry, I had to go grab it out of the fridge. So right here, comes in a little bag. I transfer it to a jar and keep it in my fridge. But just in one little scoop mixed with some water, checks a lot of boxes. Helps with gut health, focus and energy, immune defense, nutrient replenishment. All of the ingredients are whole food sourced ingredients in here. And I've actually talked a bit in the past now about how really starting to drink AG1 just helps me kind of focus on my health. I'm like, well, I'm drinking this drink for health, but why don't I also just clean up the rest of my health while I'm at it? So it's really kind of had a second unintended benefit of really just helping clean up my entire diet, because I'm like, if I'm going through the effort for this, why don't I just go through the effort in everything as well? But I'm always on the go, I'm traveling, I don't always eat perfect, so at least every day I know I got this. So if you'd like to try some for yourself, you can scan the QR code that's probably been on the screen or go to drinkag1.com/LLOD, and they'll throw in a year's supply of vitamin D3 plus K2 and 5 free travel packs with your first subscription. So thank you again to AG1 for sponsoring this video. So anyway, back to the SUV. So this is a 2011 Toyota Sequoia Platinum 4-wheel drive. And so when we're running full family deep, I'm going to make a separate video probably about the LX 570. It's not here right now. I kind of bought the LX to kind of be this vehicle, and we were going to keep the RAV, but then Ashley was always using the LX, and I always wanted to tinker with it and make it more off-road capable. So we decided, let's just get rid of the RAV, get Ashley her own, and that frees the LX for me to kind of play with more. So it's really currently sitting on 37s and full bumpers. We'll get to that later. Anyway, we needed a big SUV, and we're going to get a big SUV, so I wanted to get a big SUV that did big SUV things. It could tow, it could haul, it could go off-road, it could, you know, if we want to go do some dispersed camping, not like rock crawling or anything. I mean, it could rock crawl, but I'm not going to mod this. This is about as far as it's going to go. Or if we're not going to do a minivan, might as well get a legit SUV, not some SUV that is disguised as an SUV, but is really just a less functional minivan. I'm looking at you, Toyota Highlander or Kia Telluride or whatever. Those things are great, but at that point, I'd rather just get a minivan because minivans are even better. So this is just like a true SUV, body on frame, big V8 engine, can tow, it can do all the things. So that's kind of what I wanted. Anyway, 5 people, 2 rear-facing car seats. We did want captain's chairs as well. So this one has that. And so that way we can just sneak around and get into the back seat like so very easily, because a lot of times, especially these rear-facing car seats, not a booster seat or anything, will inhibit the normal kind of tumble forward capabilities of a seat. So that's what we got in here. Like I said, this is the Platinum, so you got a lot of other kind of features that I'll get into later. So anyway, 4-wheel drive, does have a center differential lock. So when it's in 4-wheel drive without the center differential lock, it acts much more like an all-wheel drive vehicle, which is better for driving on the road, obviously, better for kind of snowy road conditions. So it checks that box as well. Fuel economy, horrible, but that was the sacrifice we were willing to make. This thing only cost me, well, only, I don't know. It's the Toyota still hold their value a lot, but this cost me 15 grand as opposed to spending, 75 grand on a new Sequoia that's actually worse in a lot of ways, which I'll probably also get to in this video. So that's kind of some of the backstory as to what led us to this decision. Why an older one with nearly 200,000 miles on it, you might say? Well, because the price was right, and I think we're gonna beat this thing up, and really not much has changed. This generation, second gen Sequoia, ran from 2008 to 2022 with almost no changes to it. It got a little more tech. This is a 2011. So it does have the radar cruise control at least, but I think the newer ones come with maybe lane keep assist. This one does not have keyless entry or a keyless push button start. That is by far mine and my wife's biggest gripe. It has a regular old key that you got to stick in the hole and turn. Some people love that. I don't love it. My wife doesn't love it. So the newer ones did change that. There actually is a kit that you can get that keyless entryifies this thing that I bought, and I'll probably install. But for now, that's really the only thing I miss. Ashley kind of misses the lane assist in her RAV4, but I hate lane assist. I always turn lane assist off in every car I have. So she wishes it had lane assist. I don't care about lane assist. So those are kind of the only gripes other than the fuel economy. Now, it's a big SUV, but compared to the RAV4, it's, a little bit wider, mostly a lot taller, and it's less than 2 feet. 2 feet's a lot, but it's less than 2 feet longer, but it drives like a much smaller car. All of the newer modern cars, even the RAV4, the turning radiuses suck. Tacoma, turning radius got worse. Tundra, turning radius got worse. Sequoia, turning radius increased by, I think, like 3 or 4 feet on the new Sequoias. This turning radius, I believe, is, I want to say it's a half a foot to a foot bigger than Ashley's RAV4. So it's kind of surprisingly nimble for such a big vehicle. That makes it easier to turn, U-turn, park, all the things. So it's a big SUV, no doubt about it, but it kind of drives a little smaller than it is, if that makes sense. Also, the 5.7 liter V8 has plenty of power, plenty of get up and go. The tires are slightly oversized on this. These actually I stole off of my Lexus, the LX570, because I moved the LX570 to 37. So these are Toyo AT3s, a great kind of little bit aggressive all-terrain tire, but you still got snowflake rating and everything on them. These are LTs. These are, what are they? 285/75R17. So they're a 34-inch tire actually on a 17-inch wheel. Now probably you're really supposed to put an 18-inch wheel on these because the brake calipers are very close. I actually had to move the weights on the wheels because of the wheel weights they did rub the brake calipers. So probably they recommend an 18-inch wheel for this, but a 17-inch fits with that little note there. So this is a 17-inch wheel and it is a plus 25 offset. So plus 25 offset is probably the perfect offset for this, just a tiny, tiny bit of poke. You could go in a little more even, that would be a little more functional, but this is probably a good aesthetic poke for most people while not being too crazy. Fitment, this thing, as far as I know, isn't lifted. Like there's definitely no suspension or anything on it. It looks all factory OEM, doesn't look like there's spacers or anything. So I think this is just riding at factory ride height, which is kind of weird because people in the forums say you can't fit bigger than a 33-inch tire, and this is a 34-inch tire on a slightly more aggressive offset. Now, it did rub a little bit here, so I heated the mud flaps and bent them back in because I kind of wanted to retain the mud flaps for, a little bit of cleanliness. And I did tuck this forward. I kept this as well, probably gets me an extra quarter of an MPG up there, and I don't mind it. So I just tucked that forward a little bit, and now I have no rubbage, at least just driving around normal kind of pavement stuff. So that was what I did there. Up front, it had, I'll show an overlay, it had an old big, huge chrome grille, and old oxidized, crappy halogen headlights, and I wanted to modernize it. So this is really, the front end now looks like a TRD Pro, like a 22 TRD Pro. It's got the new shaped lights, and it's got the TRD Pro grille. So I bought this grill and it was all black. So I painted it myself, and these Form Lighting actually sent these lights out. They actually have a little sequential amber turn signal in here, and they sell a kit which is specific to this vehicle, this model range vehicle, Sequoia and Tundra, which is a plug and play kit. Super easy to install. And the thing is, the lights changed shape. The older lights came straight across here. So this bottom plate is different. So this kit is a plug and play headlight kit, and it also comes with a replacement trim panel. This is also black. So this was black and this was black. And I actually ordered like color match spray paint online. So 3-stage base coat and second coat and then clear coat. And I just did that by myself in the garage. And it is not a perfect match, but I think it's close enough to where, if I didn't point it out, someone really wouldn't notice. So that actually worked out pretty nice. I don't have the Raptor lights hooked up or anything yet, but there's a few different grille options, and this is definitely my favorite. I think it just kind of looks the best. So adding the wheels, tires, headlights, and grille, and then the roof rack really made a huge difference. This is a brand new roof rack from Uptop Overland. I actually have a huge announcement that I'm gonna I'm going to talk about in a separate dedicated video with Uptop. But we made this roof rack. They didn't make a Kilo. This is the Kilo. This is Uptop's kind of like lightest, lowest profile, and actually most affordable roof rack. They didn't make this for the second gen, and I begged and pleaded. And they're like, well, I don't know if we're going to sell any for it, but I guess we'll make one for you. So they made one for me, and they're going to sell it now. So it's live on the website. One of the cheapest aftermarket roof racks you can get, and just looks sleek, fully 100% made right here in Colorado. Adjustable, adaptable crossbars. You can get the light bar. That's an Uptop light bar. I haven't actually hooked it up yet. I just mounted it. Or no light bar. You don't have to buy a separate wind fairing or anything. It comes with a wind fairing that's adaptable, so you remove a piece, or you keep the piece on if you don't want the light bar, and then you remove the piece if you want to put a light bar. And it keeps that light bar nice and flush, so you could still run long things on the roof rack there. And that just really made me kind of love the look. You know, I always thought these things kind of looked like a beluga, especially the white ones, but to say they've grown on me is an understatement. I actually think they look freaking sweet now. Like me, whenever, like occasionally I would drive the RAV4, like we're doing something, and I don't know, we'd take Ashley's car, and I never felt cool driving the RAV4. Not that that matters, you know, whatever, get over yourself. But I feel cool again now driving my wife's car. So anyway, that is about all I did to the exterior. I blacked out all of the chrome. I don't love this. This is something I bought on Amazon, which is just covers to put on. I should have just vinyl wrapped them or something, because you can still see a little bit of chrome, but whatever. They're relatively cheap. And then black platinum here, and then these are also caps that just stuck on to cover the chrome. And then I did a couple badge deletes, like, I don't know, I don't care to have a bunch of badges, so I deleted the iForce Max badge and the 4x4, and then just plasti dipped black the Sequoia. And that's really it on the outside. Hood completely unmodified, just under the hood completely unmodified is just the default 5.7 liter V8, so not much to see under there. And then, so you can lift these things. A lot of Tundra parts work on the Sequoia, so a lot of things won't necessarily be listed for the Sequoia, but there's more aftermarket support on paper for the Tundra, but a lot of those things also fit the Sequoia. So if you're seeing something for a year range Tundra, probably for the most part, it'll fit a Sequoia, but not 100%, but a lot of things that fit the Tundra also fit the Sequoia. And I think a lot of companies are kind of updating it to show that, to kind of address that is the case. So there are lifts for this. The thing is, it's an independent independent front and independent rear suspension. But in the case of this vehicle, how we're going to use it, I like that. It's a better ride, and it allows for a much more usable rear cargo area, which I'll get into in a second. So that's basically it. The Platinum has kind of built-in airbags in the rear, so you can adjust the ride height of the rear a little bit, as well as how stiff it is. So that helps with payload. If you just are hauling a ton of people or you're towing or something, that's actually nice. I wasn't planning on lifting this or doing anything, so that's actually kind of the best factory suspension you can get, which is, again, part of the reason I went for the Platinum. And yeah, you can lift it. There are kits available that can lift the independent rear with the airbags as well. But again, I think as long as this is Ashley's car, she really doesn't want it taller. She doesn't like getting in and out of my big lifted vehicle. She doesn't like getting the kids in and out and the car seats and loading groceries and all that stuff, which I totally get. So we're gonna leave this at this height with just the slightly oversized tires. There is a full-size matching spare that does fit underneath as well. It's probably the biggest spare that'll fit under there, but it fits in the factory spare location, so that's super nice. So just to kind of get in, the interior is dated. It's a 2011, but like I said earlier, nothing really changed up until the redesign for the 3rd Gen Sequoia. So up until a 2022, this is very nearly the same. Like the steering wheel got a little refresh, like a couple things got a little refresh, but it's basically the same vehicle. So I figured get a little older one. I did want the adaptive cruise control. It does have heated and cooled seats as well. So those were kind of the main things I was looking for. I didn't want to like downgrade from Ashley's RAV4 too much, but yeah. So let's just start here. Some things I love. Big old doors. The big old doors are probably actually the worst thing about this vehicle when it comes to kids and parking lots and stuff, because this is a huge, huge door. That's where the minivan really shines. Huge, bad for tight parking lots. We're not in tight parking lots that often, so it's not, we don't live in the city, so it's not the end of the world. So the huge is actually nice because the getting car seats in or getting you into this massive opening is very nice. But the huge doors, that is something to note if you live in a space restricted area. But they did well, man. Old vehicles are so good. We got so much storage here. Again, I'm going to do a separate follow-up video once I have this thing fully loaded out with gear, so I'm not going to touch too much on the gear here, but so much room, like legitimately usable cup holders in the door panels, has all this room, storage here, storage there, amazing. I love it. Even a little bit more storage here. I don't know why they changed it. Everything is just like big and beefy and like just chunky on this thing. I love that. Here's where, you know, it gets kind of old, but we do have power lift gate. It does have auto reverse tilting mirrors if you want to use that. Headlight washers, though I did delete those. And then, you know, just kind of your basic stuff. This looks old, obviously. The wood, there's not a ton of wood. It's really just here and the steering wheel. So at least we don't have a bunch of other wood throughout here. But the gauge cluster is obviously a little bit dated, but we do have steering wheel controls. We have adjustment here. We do have this is my preferred cruise control. I still like I prefer this cruise control adjustment over the newer ones. And then it has adaptive cruise control. So that sets your distance between. And then it has some more info up here, some more buttons here, has parking sonar. And I like that it has the little display up here that shows the temperature and the time and everything like that. So it really, from the cockpit, it has everything that I like. I upgraded this screen, bought this on Amazon for I think sub $300, and you get a 10-inch screen, super integrated into here, wireless CarPlay. It's basically an Android tablet that can use wireless CarPlay or Android Auto, and it just looks seamless. And it's amazing. And it was a very easy install. I just did it myself, and it's essentially plug and play. A lot of plugs, but plug and play for the most part. This is a dual baby camera for the rear seats. And then this is another thing I like. I just left my wife's cup in here. She actually just got back. So this is kind of the typical loadout, but this is another thing that is amazing. You don't find cup holders that work very well with the Stanley cups. I think this is a Brewmate, actually, but that also accept the bigger cups, the Nalgene's, the Hydro Flasks, stuff like that. So default triple cup holders here and compatible with big cups and big bottles. That is like the hugest win. It cannot be understated how much importance I put on that. Every new vehicle, my Tundra, the Tacoma, the new Sequoia, they all suck. And you got your 2nd Gen Sequoia just winning at life with the triple cup holders. More storage here. This weird compartment here. I like older cars. They're like, we're going to just give you access to all the space. We want to give you lots of storage. So this goes down underneath. Even if you want to like tuck things under here, this whole thing can pop out if you want. If you just need a huge kind of storage bin. This thing even stores inside of here. There's like a little spot for it under there. Great, amazing, perfect. So much room here too. Like just like when we get back in the RAV, well, now it's for sale, so we're not driving it anymore because it's all cleaned up. But we just felt so cramped. The first week that we bought this vehicle, actually, my wife and I were out with our son, and the road, there was an accident on kind of a relatively small street, but it would have taken, like an hour to backtrack and go around. And the road just shut down for about 30 minutes. And it was like the first trip we took in this. And Ashley's like, I'm so glad we're in this instead of the RAV, because she just hopped over and had all this room. We got Cooper out of his car seat and just kind of hung out in the big old SUV because it's like a playground in here for him. So that was like a very real moment where I was happy because Ashley wanted a bigger SUV, but she wasn't completely sold on it. And I was like, you're going to love it. There's so much room for activities in there. And she's like, I don't know. And that like cinched the deal because it was such a better experience in the Sequoia than it would have been in the RAV4. But anyway, a lot of other great things in here. Everything is big, chunky, knobs and buttons, so user-friendly, so easy to use. This, I was kind of joking about it in my new Tacoma, my $55,000 brand new Tacoma, doesn't even have dual climate control. This has triple climate control. So left, right, and then rear climate control as well. Heated and cooled seats here. USB, this is your 4x4 control, toll haul mode. This, like I said, adjustable rear suspension here, and you can kind of adjust it here. There's four-wheel drive selector. The rear window rolls up and down on this. You don't get that on the 3rd Gen Sequoia, and that is huge for dogs back there, for hauling stuff, for airflow. If you don't have a tailgate, you better have a roll-down rear window. If you don't have a roll-down rear window, that sucks. So I love that this has the roll down rear window. I had the 1st gen. For those that don't know and maybe don't like super follow the channel, I had a 1st gen Sequoia actually, a white 1st gen Sequoia, and it was built about like this. Wheels, tires, it had a small lift and a roof rack, and that was it, because that was like the most practical, functional daily driver phase of the build, and I just left it at that. Sold that because I missed my LX570. So I had an LX570, sold it because it was kind of too nice. Got the 1st gen Sequoia. That was great, but I missed my LX, so I sold the Sequoia, bought another LX, and now I'm coming kind of full circle back to a 2nd gen Sequoia. So yeah, sorry, my battery died, but time for a small tangent. So white. These come in a couple colors, none of them that are like super amazing. Some of the newer ones came in some cooler colors. You could get these in the army green and the lunar rock and a couple cool colors. Anyway, but the older ones didn't. It was essentially white, black, some tan, some reds, some blues. But white is just it. We live, off of a dirt road, and white just hides dirt. Like this isn't a clean vehicle right now, but it looks clean. It looks so much cleaner than a black vehicle would look. You get up close and you can see, yeah, kind of dirty, but white vehicle for a few reasons. This is kind of a little PSA if you've never thought about it before. But this went through my thought process. The main one everyone thinks about is keeping it clean, and I do too. I love how a black vehicle looks when it's clean. Black vehicle is never clean. White vehicle is almost always looks clean. So that's the main thing that people always talk about. Another thing is heat. A lot of times we're doing activities, especially Ashley's doing activities in the summer, taking kids to the pools, doing this and that. And that's when vehicles get hot. A white vehicle will be cooler to the touch and cooler inside. I actually showed how good the cup holders were.
Oh, and the small cup holder is the perfect size for baby bottles.
Oh, small cup holders, perfect size for baby bottles. There you go. Also is highly visible. When you're driving on the road, again, safety is of concern. Black vehicles are harder to see. I don't want Ashley to be missed when she's out with me or whatever. We got the full family in here. I want to be very visible on the road. So outside of like orange or something, white is one of the most visible colors across all kinds of terrain and lighting environments and everything. So it's easier to see on the road. And then it does hide like scratches and dents and stuff a little too well. This actually had some hail damage that the guy told me about but I couldn't really see it until I got in like a specific kind of light, and then I could see, oh yeah, actually thing's got some hail damage, actually, more than I thought. So that one kind of worked to my disadvantage, but it does hide that kind of stuff. So little scratches, little dents, little things like that just kind of disappear on a white vehicle. Also, the paint holds up better. It doesn't get oxidized and destroyed by the sun as fast. And this is like, they call it the blizzard white, I think. I don't know if it's going to be able to see it on video. I can't, it's like not good lighting. It's in the shade right now. See, the sun is there, so we're in the shade. But anyway, it is it's actually a beautiful pearlescent color. Anyway, all that to say, I was kind of shopping for blacks, but landed on white, but there were a lot more black ones available with the better color interior. So they got like the darker brown, kind of the caramel leather interior, which I way prefer over this like lighter tan. I really don't like the lighter tan, and I don't like the gray of this era either. I'm guessing white was available with the darker kind of caramel color seats, the saddle, I think they call it, but I couldn't find one. I found, I searched the whole country. I found like 5 black ones with that color interior and not a single white one with it, when I was searching anyway. I know they definitely offered them later, but I'm guessing you could get them in 2011. But anyway, I couldn't find one, so we did opt for tan, but tan, also fine. Tan leather stays cooler in the summer months as well, when the sun's hitting it and stuff. So practically, functionally, this is probably the best color. It's much like white will kind of hide dirt and scuffs and stuff better. So, I mean, this is a super functional color. Seats are pretty adjustable. Got the thigh support, got this. It's got a good amount of lumbar support. So, I mean, overall awesome. It does have the JBL sound system. Nothing to write home about, but giant center storage console. You could like fit a freaking basketball in here probably. Such a breath of fresh air compared to the tiny 4th gen Tacoma. It is padded on top as well, and I bought this little tray that just kind of sits above, and then the organizer down below. Again, we haven't really fully moved in, so to speak, into this car, so I'll kind of get adjusted here as we go. But has, pen holders, card holders, tissue holders, map holder, like all kinds of nice little features built in to the massive storage here. So this I pulled out of in between the second row. So this comes on the platinum trim. This is the second row armrest. And this thing is a marveling piece of engineering by itself. Padded armrest, storage compartment there, cup holders here, has a little drawer that pulls out from the front. The whole thing flips forward for like a workspace here in the second row if you want. You could put something here. Also has storage, and then a massive amount of storage underneath here. It's kind of dark in here. I don't know if you can tell. So just like a feat of engineering. I was kind of sad to pull that out, but we wanted to basically just free up the middle row. So like I said, another one of the main reasons we wanted a platinum is because it came with the captain's chairs. What I didn't know, and correct me if I'm wrong for you Sequoia owners out there, but any of the trims actually, I guess you can remove the middle portion. I'm not an expert in all things Sequoia. I just know the other trims, you can get a limited with captains as well, I think, but for the most part, the other trims have a bench seat here, but I didn't know the bench was really, as far as I could tell online, independent, and the middle could actually be removed from those as well. So you can actually convert anything, the SR5s, the limiteds, whatever, into this configuration of having nothing in the middle. Now there is some exposed parts here through the carpet, so I just bought a mat and kind of cut it to size, just like a rubber mat here. So that's in here. So anyway, the rear seat also so much better than the 3rd gen Sequoia. This thing reclines. It folds forward. When there's no car seat in here, you pull this lever and the seat kind of tilts and slides all the way forward, and you get super easy access in there. Again, like I said, we'll probably just kind of go around here, but this whole thing slides as well. So actually, for how we're set up right here, I can fit through. It's a little bit of a tight squeeze, but I can fit through and get in without even folding the seat forward. So that's actually kind of a nice little feature. And the third row legroom is honestly great, and even made better because you could latch in there and you could fit, you know, like a 7-foot tall person back there and still have pretty good legroom here. But this is all adjustable all the way until it goes back at a bunch of little increments here. So anyway, tilting, sliding, folds forward. This seat does also fold flat with this little lever back here. Platinum and some limiteds do come with the built-in window shades, not only in this window, but also in this window. That's wild. And then again, good storage through here. We got actually decently usable because of this big cutout here, decently usable cup holders and storage here. You would normally, again, in that piece I just showed, have some cup holders there, and then also fold down cup holders here, which, I mean, this vehicle has so many cup holders. I think like 18 or 20 cup holders or something like that. Does have the DVD screen as well with wired or wireless headphones. That's pretty cool. You can plug wired headphones in here or use the wireless. It has a 100-watt. Doesn't have the ground plug, so just the two plug AC port, so like a really light duty port here, and all of your other heating controls here. Like I said, the Platinum does have heated, and I think just heated, maybe heated and cooled seats, but again, we took that functionality out because we got car seats. One other thing I forgot to mention, dual glove boxes, very big, tons of storage, glove boxes, top and bottom. I mean, just amazing. Also, cigarette lighter, one more cigarette lighter in here. So the older vehicles really jammed a lot of just factory cigarette lighter power in, which is amazing. That thing does have some ambient lighting. I think mine are burned out, but it does have puddle lights as well on the mirrors. It's just, I mean, it's such a good machine. So then the other thing that's nice, I talked about this a little in some recent Tacoma videos, we got these handles. These handles are good for getting in and out. I like these handles for getting in and out, but I prefer the top handles for when you're actually in here. This one, look at that. Back in the days of them not cutting costs, they got a handle here and a handle here. Awesome. Also, the Sequoia with its 3-zone climate control does have vents in the roof for the middle and the third rows as well. That is another huge plus. Ashley tells me the moms love when the vehicles have that. The RAV4, for instance, does not have that. So instead it has only a vent there, or the feet vent, which obviously doesn't get to the kid very well. So when you got someone in a car seat, that can just hit them straight up there. So those are very good for that. So getting back into the third row, I just wanted to show the split configuration here. So we've got the 60-40 split, one here, and then 2 more over here. So this is with the seat fully back. This is, I mean, it could recline a little more, but it's slid all the way back. This is me, full-size adult male, technically slightly above average height. I'm 5'10", a true 5'10", so that makes me like 6'6" on the internet. And I actually have, my knees aren't even touching when I'm all the way back here. This is power recline. So power recline, oop, I got a stroller behind me. Power recline and power forward. And there are also power controls to actually tumble this seat forward. It folds flat. We got 2 more cup holders here. We got a storage compartment in here. We got a storage compartment there. We got sunshades back here. So the main thing missing actually from the second and the third row is DC power. There's no USB plugs. There's no cigarette lighter plugs. There's one cigarette lighter plug behind me in the cargo area here, but there's nothing here. Maybe I'll add that in the future. So this is the beauty of the second gen. So this is the 60 folded flat here. Since this is an independent rear suspension and you don't need all that room for the solid axle to go across, and you don't have that stupid battery hump from the third gen Sequoias, they're all hybrids. So they all have this big battery hump, which makes this whole kind of third row weirdly unusable. I mean, it's usable if your only use case is using it with the third row up. But a lot of people are going to want to fold this down and haul stuff in here. They're not always needing to haul this many people. So the second gen is so much better because this thing just folds flat. This would be like the top of the battery hump would be, you know, higher than this maybe, or about this high on the third gen Sequoia. And then the seats would be folded above it, and they'd be like this high of seats eating up your cargo area. So you'd have like another foot of seats above this, just kind of, and then if you wanted to fold this model, if you fold this, sorry, I got car seats in here right now, but this folds flat to where this makes a flat surface from here all the way flat to the back of the front seats, just flat. So if you want to load plywood in here or furniture or whatever, it's completely flat. In the third gen Sequoia, you have it lower back here, this big hump for the folded seat here, and then it gets lower in the front over there. So it's like a very like not utility, not hauling friendly setup. And that was maybe the deal breaker for the third gen Sequoia. Other than, you know, it costs 4 times what I paid for this thing. In the back, this is a little bit, you'll have an opinion on it or not. Like I said before, there is a power liftgate button here, and there's a power liftgate button on the key. But when you come back here to manually open it, the button only like disengages the lever. It doesn't actually open it. So you have to manually open it, which I don't mind because the manual opening is faster than most power lift gates are. There is a button that you can close it with power. One of the things I didn't like about Ashley's, you know, it's kind of nice once you get used to it, I guess, is you hit it and it closes and you walk away and it just kind of slowly closes while you're getting into the vehicle or whatever. But I don't know, something about me just likes to close it. So on a lot of powered ones, you can't still manually close it. So this is dual, power if you want it, or manual if you don't. So I can still just close it normally. And I love that. So back here, we don't have a ton of room behind the third row. That's a lot of SUVs, and even minivans don't have a ton back there, but they have more. And, you know, the bigger, like the Yukon XL, Suburbans, Excursions, those all have like quite a bit of room behind the rear seat, but not a ton of vehicles have a ton of room behind the rear seats. That is the one area that some of the ones I was making fun of, the Highlanders or the Grand Highlanders especially, or I think even the Kia Telluride has a little more room behind the third row. So that is probably one area that could be improved. But again, the area behind the Sequoia is pretty comparable to the shorter Tahoe and the Expedition and stuff like that. Like those are all relatively comparable. But anyway, for reference, this is actually Tactical Baby Gear's new stroller. This is like a full size capable, you know, big wheeled stroller that folds up and fits behind that seat when it's up, just to kind of give you an idea. So this is what you get back here. Decent amount of room, but again, not a ton, not a ton. Now this is power. We'll see, it'll lift this bag up. So this is how you get these seats up and down. It's kind of slow. It's the only bummer. And you got to sit here and hold it the whole time. But that'll go essentially flat to give you a nice flat surface here. This is kind of a little flap. You can kind of see what's going on under here. You could even store a little bit of stuff under there, but some of it gets eaten up when the seat comes back to fill up. Anyway, the other cool thing that I absolutely love is this. You got this whole storage compartment underneath here. Actually, even inside of there is like the jack and the tire changing tools. And again, like I said, there's a little bit more storage inside if you wanted it. But you have a good amount of storage back here. This is like as much storage as you get under the bench seat of the back seat of the Tundra. Just think of it, roughly that amount of storage just chilling right here, hidden flat. Now this is, you know, a little bit of a step up from the bumper. So flat, yes, but we still do have, again, full-size spare tire, hitch. I think, you know, these can tow like 9,000 pounds or something pretty beefy. I don't know, maybe 7,000, I don't know off the top of my head, honestly. But that's kind of what's going on under there. Good amount of storage, folds flat, and it's awesome. Some tie down attachment points here. You could add, I might add like a little cargo net or something across here, and then the all too important roll down rear window. Amazing. So if you want to haul some lumber, something tall, you could put a freaking kayak in here and it could hang out the back, and it makes it so breezy. When my dogs are back here, they love me opening the window. So SUVs with the roll down rear window, amazing, awesome. And then, yeah, that amount is gear storage, plus you got a massive roof rack on top to haul really anything you would ever need. So that about wraps it up. 2011 Sequoia, again, very similar from 2008 all the way up to 2022. So you can spend as much money as you want. You get a TRD Pro 2022 low mileage. One of these is probably, you're still paying 60, 70 grand for that. Or you can get these 15 grand down to, I've seen some going maybe like 10 grand, maybe down that low, especially for like an SR5 or something like that. So again, some people shy away from older, higher mileage vehicles. I don't really, as long as, you know, they've been relatively maintained. There's several examples of this drivetrain going 1 million+ miles. So if you take care of it, a little bit of maintenance here and there, technically gets you 1 million miles. Set at 200,000, I'm only at 1/5 of the lifespan of this vehicle for 75% depreciation. I love buying used 75% depreciated vehicles. So that's the Sequoia. What do you think? Did I make the right move? Does it suck? Many regrets? Do you wish I got a 3rd gen Sequoia? I really do think, as far as usability and all the things I really care about in a vehicle, the 2nd gen Sequoia really trumps the 3rd gen Sequoia. Now the 3rd gen Sequoia, I think it looks good. You can run 37-inch tires pretty easily. The cockpit is really nice, but even that, it's like a little bit higher. It's not quite as spacious. It's not quite as roomy. So it's a nicer for sure, the 3rd gen, but the 2nd gen is just more spacious and more usable in every way. 3rd gen doesn't have a roll down rear window either. So 2nd gen Sequoia, supremacy, lots of room in there. Who knows, maybe in a couple years we'll end up in a minivan anyway. But for now, we're riding out the joys of the 2nd gen Sequoia. Cool, we'll appreciate you watching. Let me know if you have any questions or comments or mods that I absolutely need to do or things that I absolutely need to look into. You know, I don't think we're gonna mod it anymore, but Ashley did say she wouldn't mind a front bumper on it. So maybe that, I'm not sure, but probably it'll sit about like this. You probably won't see a ton of it on the channel unless we like get into trailers and towing them and stuff and, you know, do some light adventures in this, but really the LX is going to be the adventure mobile. Gonna do a follow-up video titled something like how I kit out my wife's car and talk about all the stuff that I like to keep in the SUV for us. Just kind of little preparedness stuff, little daily stuff, things of that nature. So let me know if you got any ideas for that or any questions, and that video will be coming soon. Thanks for watching, but man, been loving this thing. I forgot if I mentioned it earlier. If you're in the market for a 2019 RAV4 XLE all-wheel drive, not the hybrid, pretty nice. Actually just gave this thing a nice, fresh little detail. It's looking clean in here. If you're in the market for one, let me know. 66,000 miles, located in Colorado. I gotta do a little research, but I think those things hold their value pretty well. I was looking at other 2019s and they're going for like low 20,000s. So maybe, I don't know. I'll have to look a little more, but make me an offer if you're into it, because I'm probably gonna list that up. It's probably listed by the time you see this video. All right, enough rambling. Until next time, guys, take care.